car and everything.
Yeah, I got a 78 280Z. I bought it for $1,200, fixed it up, so now worth $3,000.
That is his profit.
Yeah. New engine, suspension. I got a respray. I got some photos.
Damn it! Damn!
Okay. Hold on. Judge is in session. What is the problem here?
You put my stuff in Jell-O again. That's real professional. Thanks. This is the third time, and it wasn't funny the first two times either.
What is that?
It's my stapler.
No! Do not take it out.
The power of the market. The stapler. The first handmade stapler was made in France in the 18th century for King Louis XV. George McGill was awarded for the simple version of the modern stapler in 1866. There are many different types of staplers, as are their uses for them. A long reach stapler, as shown above, is used to staple items such as booklets. Main components of the stapler. The stapler is made up of many components, which are mainly metal and spring type parts. So, the anvil of the stapler is the metal plate which you put the document on that you want to staple. The magazine is the part that holds the staples. The metal head covers the magazine. This is the hanger, it's wheeled to the base. It also holds the pin which connects the magazine and the base. Rivets are parts used to keep the other parts together. So the pin is the hinge point for the top half and the bottom half of the stapler. Rubber and plastic materials, such as one over here, as well as a different color black on the bottom, are typically just used to make the stapler more visually and cosmetically appealing. So there are some springs in the stapler, and they perform two jobs. So the first job that the springs perform is keeping the row of staples lined up. So that's this spring right here. And as well as returning the plunger blade to its original position. So just go like that and keep it. Manufacturing process. So the first step in the manufacturing process of the stapler is forming the springs. So this is one of the springs. This is the coil one, and the other one's called the leaf. So the coil spring is made from metal that has the ability to withstand constant pressure and release and still maintain its shape, whereas the coil spring material is wound around an appropriately sized rod, which is similar to what a pencil looks like, and then heat treated to produce changes in the metal's characteristics, such as changes that give the metal elasticity. So the second step in the manufacturing process is called the stamping of the parts. So there's 3 stampings that are typically made of a flat sheet of metal, and they vary from thicknesses that are sandwiched between a punch and a die. Most of the major metal components of the stapler, besides springs and rivets, such as the base, metal head, and anvil, are made this way. The third step is called break forming. So after a part is stamped, it's usually then formed into a shape, also known as break forming. This next step talks about how the rivets are made. So as previously mentioned in the major components, rivets are usually made of fairly strong materials, but they also must have some elasticity. These parts are designed to hold parts in place, such as the job of a screw or a nut, except that the rivet is one piece and cannot be easily disassembled. So the next step in the manufacturing process of the stapler is creating the plastic moldings. So plastic parts of staplers are made by a process called injection molding, in which a liquefied plastic is injected into a die. The liquid flows into an open part and is then cooled, making a plastic part of the stapler. Moving on to one of our last parts of the manufacturing process, this one is called making the pin. The pin is a little bit more than a piece of bar stock, which is cut off to a certain length with either a saw or a machining center. Since the pin is used as a hinge point for the top and the bottom half of the stapler, it's usually made from strong and heat-treatable metal. Next, we move on to painting, because as required to prevent rust or for cosmetic reasons, some of the components of the stapler are painted. And the last step is the assembly process, in which all the parts of the stapler come together to create one. But where does this all come from? This chart shows the top 7 plastic exporter countries around the world, with first being China and Germany being a close second. Followed by those two are USA, Korea, Belgium, Japan, and the Netherlands. Staples and the majority parts of staplers are made of plastic and metal. With the two major materials of staples and staplers being plastic and metal, it leaves us with China being the largest exporter to Canada of those materials for the staplers. In 1968, the Canadian Prime Minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau at the time, had initiated negotiations with the People's Republic of China, leading to an establishment of diplomatic relations on October 13, 1970. Canada and China had then established resident diplomatic missions in 1971, ultimately all leading up to trade with China and Canada.